Pip from AgriWebb here. I'm just here to show you how to update your animal details to make sure that their branding or marking numbers are being included in your livestock reconciliation. So as you can see in this report, I'm up here and I'm looking at the month of June for 2024. And I can see here that I've got about 80 odd calves that have been bred or branded or marked onto the property in this month. Now, I know that these animals, their date of birth was set in June. However, I branded them when they were about 3 months old. So I actually want to make sure that these animals are hitting the books in. Now, to go and rectify this, it's really easy. We just need to make sure that these animals that are being included here have their date of birth set to June correctly. However, we want their date on farm to be instead set to September. That way they can come into our livestock reconciliation in September and ultimately hit the books on their branding or marking date. So in order to update these, so you guys can do this if you have any historical records that are flowing through to your reports incorrectly, you can come and find the animals. So in this scenario, I'm just going to come to livestock and into activity, and I'll be able to see down here somewhere, these are the animals that I uploaded. Now to find them, because I did it today, I can go ahead and sort this for this year. And you should be able to see, here we go, I've got this 79 header import. So whether you find it through this method or through any others, you just need to find the animals that you're going to want to update the other date of birth or date on farm for. So if I click on these ones here and hit on view all animals, I'm going to come in and I'm going to scroll across and just make sure what dates I'm working with. So if I come across here, I can see that their date of birth was set to the 15th of June 2024. Now, what I now want to check is their date on farm. So firstly, I want to come in and make sure that the date on farm column is turned on. So we've got that there, date on farm. That's good. And then we want to come across and find date on farm. So we've got date weighed, here we go, date on farm. So as you can see here, these are all selected as the 15th of June as well. So the reason this probably happened is because we left that date on farm field empty. So it's just defaulted back to their date of birth, which is a really easy fix. What we need to do here, and the easiest way to do it, is coming across here to export. I'm going to export this into a CSV file. Once we've done that, I'm going to come up to the top here and come into import animal data, and we're going to come down to import animal updates. What this is going to do is allow me to select all the animals in my file, and then I can override that date on farm to be, my branding or marking date. So if I come across here and go import animal updates, select the species that I'm working with, we're now just going to upload that file that we downloaded straight away. So if I select this one, it's going to, we've just downloaded, we don't need to open the file, we don't need to change anything in that file, but we're just going to come in and upload it, and then I'm going to select via EID. If you're using visual IDs, you can do that as well, so you just got to pick one or the other. Now what we want to do is, all the other information that we originally collected about those animals is fine, we don't need to override that, but we've just selected via EID, and we're going to come down, we're going to put all of this to don't import, so we don't want to change any of the other information, but this date on farm field, this is the one that we're looking for. So if I, rather than mapping to a column in CSV, go and use a manual value, this is where we can then adjust that. So in this scenario, I put their date of birth to their actual date of birth, but I know that I only actually branded or marked them in September. So this is where I can then go back. Let's say I knew I was in the yards on September 9th, for example. You select whatever that is, and this is going to then manually adjust all of those animals all at once, so you don't have to do it one by one, but it's going to change their date on farm to be, there you go, the 9th of September. So again, just to recap, we don't want to change any of the other information. We're selecting by EID, and that's all we need to change. So you just put in that branding or marking date, or essentially the date that you want them to enter the livestock rec or hit the books. So once you're happy with that, all we need to do now is hit next. AgriWebb's going to have a little think. It's going to process that file. And then you can see here it's ready to go. So we can quickly preview what's about to happen. So you can see all the animals listed there. It's going to go from their date of birth being equal to their date on farm to now their date of birth being one thing, but their date on farm being the other. So equivalent to that marking or branding date. So if I close that, I can now hit complete import. AgriWebb again will have a little think and process that file for us. And once it is done, all those animals will have their, there you go, 79 animals will have their date on farm adjusted. So again, we can scroll across and just make sure that's right. So we've got their date of birth hasn't changed, that's still sitting the same. If we keep going across, we will then see their date on farm is now set to, there you go, the 9th of September. So what we were after. Now, to see how this pulls through to our livestock reconciliation, we can quickly go down to our reports and into our livestock rec. And I'm going to put this to June last year so we can see that those animals are no longer pulling through to that month in our reporting. So if I hit onto June, here we go, June 2024, AgriWebb will load up the data, and we're just going to make sure that none of our calves are coming through there, so we know that their date of birth was on the 15th of June. So if I now filter and I search for calf just to make life a little easier trying to find them, I can see that they're still sitting in there. So that's when I go back up to my date on the dates up the top here, and I can see, oops, I've actually got June 2025, not 2024. So it's capturing everything up until the future. So if I fix that one up and go actually June 30 last year, and again, let that load up, we can have a little look. And hopefully we should see those animals disappear from that report. So here I can see in my bred column, great, heifer and steer calf, those ones are empty. I might have another one that wasn't included in that, but my 80 odd head that I did brand in September are no longer pulling in there. So they're out of June, which is good. And now I can come and just double check and open this up to September and even September 9th, because we know that that's the day that we put them in on. So I'll go in here. And hopefully, if it's all working well, we will see we've got those 80 odd head sitting in the bred column. So if we just let that one load, there we go. We can see bred, 79 head, and those were the ones that were updated, now sitting in my livestock reconciliation. So ultimately, this is showing that we have adjusted that date on farm to be, their branding or marking date, or even the date that you do want them to enter that livestock reconciliation. So that is totally up to you guys on how you want to work that on your place. But that is basically the process of what you'll need to go through to adjust any of your historical reports that you do need to be adjusted. So thanks. If you do need any help, just reach out to the support team and they'll be able to take you through it as well. Thanks.